Hey, you guys, welcome to the Inner Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Carolina Salazar, and I'm so happy that you are tuning in today. Whether you're a new listener or a returning listener, I love the Inner Growth family, and I also love seeing new listeners finding the podcast every week. So thank you guys so much. And I did a little bit of like a poll on my Instagram to figure out what was going to be today's episode topic for this solo episode. So there was a few topic requests, and then I did a little like voting, and you guys voted on tips for improving your money mindset and your relationship with money. So that's what we're going to be chatting about on today's solo. I am recording in the studio and I'm having the best time doing these like recordings in an inspiring setting, and just I feel like it helps me show up as my higher self. So I've been having a lot of fun. And just a little reminder, I've been reminding you guys in the last couple episodes, but just in case you don't know, we are now on YouTube. So if you want to watch the video of this podcast, you can. You just look up Inner Growth Podcast on YouTube. But if you're listening from your phone, also amazing. And you can also follow us along on Instagram at innergrowth.co to just be looped into all things inner growth. And yeah, let's dive into today's topic. I feel like it's such a juicy one. I'm super excited to talk about it because it has honestly transformed my life to improve how I relate to money. And I am also really excited to just dive into a few different tips that I have for you guys on how you can achieve a better relationship with it also. So with all of that said, let's jump into the episode and let's get growing. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I want to say is that I just kind of want to acknowledge my privilege and acknowledge that, like, I know as I'm speaking about the topic of money, everyone's relationship with money is very, very different. And all of us come from a different place as well, whether it's an energetic place or like a literal place, right? With our families, our environments, our upbringings, the opportunities that we've been given access to, all of these things are so different from person to person. So I'm speaking from my experience, and I'm genuinely very grateful because I know that both of my parents have worked very hard to provide opportunities to me and to open paths for me throughout their lives, right? Like they worked hard and they showed up for their careers and they made choices that enabled opportunities for me, for my brother, and for our family. And that said, previous generations in my family, it's not like I'm coming from a family that like has always had a lot of money. And so that's why I'm extra grateful for my parents and for all the work that they have done. But regardless of coming from a place of a little bit more privilege, I also feel like I have had to do a lot of work on my relationship with money. And the more that I have done this work, the more success I've seen in my life, the better experiences and opportunities I've attracted, and also the more ease I've experienced in my current financial reality. And I know that for a lot of people, right, like achieving financial independence and financial freedom are very important goals. And the truth is that when you do achieve financial freedom, when you do achieve financial independence, you are able to rely on yourself, right? It strengthens your relationship with yourself at the end of the day because you know that you have your own back and you know that you are providing for yourself. And as much as I come from like a privileged place and I've been able to access education, all these different things, once I graduated from college, like I've been financially independent pretty much ever since, and also self-employed for like a large chunk of that time. And so just relating with money in a more empowering way has been huge. And I started my money mindset work during my spiritual awakening, which kind of started during the pandemic. And I was just like learning a lot about it. And there's one book that has genuinely helped me so much. And I recommend it to everyone that I know, and it's called You Are a Badass at Making Money. If you've seen the book You Are a Badass, you probably have seen the book You Are a Badass because it's everywhere, and like every bookstore has like a bright yellow cover. It was written by Jen Sincero, also just a phenomenal book, such an easy read and a great like personal development starter book. But the follow-up book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, is honestly even better in my opinion, and it goes all into this exact topic of being a badass at making money and feeling empowered in your relationship to money. So I'm going to be talking today about a few different things that have helped me improve my relationship with it. And the first thing that I think is really, really, really important is getting really clear and getting really honest with yourself about the beliefs that you carry around money. The reason why this is important is because from our upbringings, from things that we hear around us in school, in our families, in our work environment, within our friend groups, like the things that we hear, the things that we're told, they become our beliefs. And a lot of the times, the things that we are told about money aren't the best. And that's going to vary a lot from person to person. For some people, they believe that money is like the root of all evil and that everyone who has money is a bad person or uses it for the wrong reasons. There's other people that the belief is you only make money if you work really hard and you have to have sweat and blood and tears, and like that's the only way to make money. And for other people, it can be different beliefs. I'll give an example like from my life and my belief systems in a second, but you have to get really clear about your current beliefs around money because our beliefs are what feed our subconscious mind and therefore feed what we attract in. If we believe that money is really scarce and that it's really inaccessible, we attract situations where that is reflected back to us. If we believe that money is the root of all evil, we're only going to pay attention to situations where people with money are doing bad things. So you have control over your beliefs. That's the most empowering truth is that while you might have these existing beliefs of money and they might be very strongly rooted in your mind, you are able to change them. And so, first, you have to get really clear though about what they are. And as I said, it's going to be very different from person to person. But one belief that I had about money that I really had to work through was that being successful and making money as a creative person is hard and is also just like very unlikely. And the reason why I developed this belief was because there were times growing up where I would turn to my parents and I would say, like, hey, I want to go be a video editor. Like, I want to go and live in LA and like be a video editor, or I want to be a graphic designer, or I want to be a photographer. Like, I would say these artistic paths that I wanted to go down on. And the response that I would get from my parents was like, well, it's really hard to succeed in that. Like, how many successful graphic designers do you know? Da, 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 da. There's no money in that. It's these little things. And maybe to them, it was not a lot of money, but maybe to someone else, it would be a lot of money. So it's so relative, but that was a belief that got ingrained in my brain. And so that was a belief that I really had to work on because if deep down I had a belief that being successful as a creative person is pretty much impossible and making money as a creative person is completely unlikely for me, achieving success as a creative person and being able to have this as my full-time job now would have been way harder and probably not very likely to happen. So I had to work through this belief and I had to affirm to myself, I had to transform this belief into a new belief that no, making money as a creative person is possible. It can be easy. It can be filled with fun and ease. And I can make money just by being myself and by being a content creator. And that I attract opportunities that allow me to work with brands that pay me my worth. Like, I've had to transform those limiting beliefs into empowering ones. So that's basically step number 2 is you have to take those limiting beliefs, those not so great beliefs you have about money, write them out and say, okay, this is what I believe about money. I believe money is super scarce. I believe it's really hard to access. I believe it only comes from really hard work and la la la. And you can tune into the episode that I recorded a little while back about limiting beliefs if you want to learn more about how to transform them. But essentially, the main thing is writing them out and realizing, okay, these are my limiting beliefs that I carry around money. Now, what are instances where I have maybe just one example where this is not a true like statement, right? So for example, you don't make money as a creative person. Then what you do is you go and you find a few examples of, or even just one example of a creative person that is successful and that makes a lot of money. Instantly, that belief can dissolve because you're like, oh, that is a false statement. That is not necessarily always true or true at all. And then you flip it and you make it into a positive belief. I can make money as a creative. I attract situations where I'm paid my worth. I believe that money is abundant. I believe that I'm a money magnet. And then you start saying or writing these new empowering beliefs. And the best way to do that is through an affirmation. Like, for example, the ones that I just said, I'm a money magnet. I attract aligned opportunities where I can make money as a creative person. I can be paid my worth. Money doesn't always have to come from hard work, and it can come from alignment and fun. There are a lot of wealthy people that are great people and that use money for the right reasons. Start transforming the beliefs that you have around money into positive ones. That is so important. And that is the first step. Like, that is the first thing that I recommend that you do if you want to have a better relationship with money. And now, the second thing that I kind of want to touch on is the fact that money itself, right? For the most part in this day and age, the way we interact with it is digitally, right? So for you to know how much money you have, you go and you open up your bank account and you look at that number, but you're not necessarily always knowing exactly what that number in your bank account is unless you're like obsessively checking your bank account every single day. But at the end of the day, it's just a number on a screen, right? So it's an energy. Like, you're not carrying around bills on your wallet and like touching the money you have and like seeing it. So it's almost this like more energetic thing. And so thinking about money like that and realizing like, wow, it's just a number sitting in my bank account. What is my relationship with that number? What is my relationship with this energy? And your beliefs are so tied to that, right? And the more you work on your beliefs, the better you're able to relate to the energy of money in your bank account, in just like the like ether. And now here is, the part where I get really woo woo. But that's really important to remember. So I wanted to touch on that because when you realize that you're not actually physically touching and counting your dollar bills every day, you're just thinking about something that's kind of like written out on a screen, you're able to change how you relate to it. And the third step, the third thing that I think is really key to improve your relationship with money is to think about or like get really conscious about the times when you're talking about money or using your money. And I'll give a few tips on how to make this better, but start noticing when you go to the grocery store and you are spending money on food or buying your groceries. And I'm not like saying this from a place where like maybe you just have like $10 in your bank account. But either way, when you are paying for things, are you paying for things from an energy of fear, or are you paying for things with an energy of appreciation? Are you paying for things and just being like, oh my God, all my money is going away. I don't know when I'm going to get my next paycheck. I'm so stressed, blah, blah, blah. Or are you paying for something and saying, wow, I appreciate that I have the money to spend on this. Like, I'm so grateful that I get to afford this food or these experiences or these moments, these things. That is super important. And being extra mindful of those little moments, those micro moments when you are interacting with money. And the more that you get really conscious of it, the more that you get really aware, the more that you're then able to work on it, right? So if you realize, like, oh, dang, like, yeah, like whenever I'm spending my money, I'm coming from such a place of fear and stress and anxiety. That's the energy that you are basically like imprinting on that exchange, on that, use of your money. So start getting really clear about that because the more that you do that, the more that you can then again transform it. And awareness is always the key, right? Because the more aware you are of something, the more you can take steps to change it, to transform it. The more clear that you get on this, the more that you start realizing the energy that you carry around this, the more you can start switching it to a more empowering energy. And one small little shift that I always recommend is instead of saying that you're spending your money, say that you're investing your money, right? If your money is going towards your gym or a workout outfit or a coffee or a meal, whatever it is, instead of saying like, oh, I've spent my money on that, think about what did you invest in with that monetary exchange, right? If you spent money on like a new workout set, oh, I'm investing in my comfort or in my confidence while I'm working out. If you are using your money to buy a coffee at a coffee shop, maybe you're investing in your daily joy or you're investing in your ability to sit in that coffee shop and do work there. Think about it from that perspective. Like, what are you gaining from this transaction, right? Maybe it's simply just happiness or joy or fun or comfort or nourishment or pleasure. You're always gaining something from that transaction. So focus on that as opposed to focusing on the lack or on what's leaving. And then another really good tip that I have is, and I don't do this all the time. I honestly wish I did. And I probably start doing that a little bit more frequently. But whenever you go and you go tap your card, if you're using Apple Pay or like you're paying something and like, inserting your card or swiping it or whatever it is, when you're doing in the moment that you're doing that transaction in your brain, just say to yourself, every time I invest my money on something, it comes back to me 3 times. It comes back to me 10 times, whatever feels good to you. But just start saying that when you're using your card or paying for something and watch how it shifts. And sometimes you will literally experience that exact thing happening. Like you spend $10 and then an opportunity for you to make 30 comes. Like it actually works. So that's why I feel like I should be doing it a little bit more. But ultimately, the money that you are putting out into this like financial like energy, it comes back, right? It's kind of like a flow. You pay for things and then you're also paid, as long as you're working or, doing something to make money or like doing a side hustle or freelancing, whatever it is. But like money is always in flow and, it will leave your account, but it also comes back. And that's why saying this, like, for example, every time I pay for something, it comes back to me tenfold or threefold because it does. It does. So you have to tap into that energy. And so that is something that I really wanted to mention because I feel like it has helped me so, 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 so much. So, just to recap some of the things that we've talked about, the first thing is getting really clear about your beliefs around money. What are those beliefs? What do you think about when you think about money? What do you think about money in general? Once you get really clear around those potentially limiting beliefs, think about what beliefs you would prefer to have with money and maybe transform those limiting beliefs into empowering ones or affirmations and start saying these affirmations, start writing them down or saying them out loud or thinking about them more frequently when you're waking up, when you're about to fall asleep, or throughout the day. And even when you are journaling or when you are using your card to pay for something, say these affirmations. Remember them because you have to say beliefs that at first feel a little bit uncomfortable as an affirmation multiple times for them to actually become a new belief. So that's the first part. The next thing I just want to recap is the fact that money is energy at the end of the day, right? You're not constantly experiencing money as like a physical thing, and because it's more energetic or digital, that means you have more control over the relationship that you have with it and the beliefs that you have around it. And then also start being really mindful of how you feel and what you think about when you are using your money. So, whether you're paying for an experience, focus on what you're gaining from it. Focus on the positive, focus on the abundance of what you're gaining from it, or on the gratitude that you feel for being able to pay for that coffee or that meal or those groceries or that new pair of shoes or whatever it is that you're spending money on. And then maybe try to push yourself out of your comfort zone and say these even more empowering affirmations of, whenever I spend my money, it comes back to me 3 times or 10 times, or whenever I invest my money, it comes back to me 3 times or 10 times. So these are some of the basic principles that I could think about when I was preparing for this episode. And I hope that they are helpful to you. If you're someone who wants to go even deeper into this work, be really patient with yourself and know that it takes a little bit of time to rewire your relationship with money. And again, as I said in the beginning of the episode, we all come from different places when it comes to our relationship with money. And so it's going to be a little bit different for you than it was for me, than it was for someone else. So just keep that in mind. I definitely recommend checking out the book, You're a Badass at Making Money, because it's so transformative and so good. So definitely check that out. And then also I have an episode on the pod with Kat Kozad, who is a coach and specifically helps people with money and money mindset. So definitely check that episode out because it was so juicy. I'll make sure to have it linked in the description of the episode if you are interested in listening to that. And in that episode, we really talk about Kat's experience coming from being literally broke to manifesting, being a successful coach, being financially abundant. It just really goes to show how you can, in fact, change your reality and how people from all walks of life are able to change their relationship with money and their financial reality and their financial experiences by doing this kind of work. So that's something I wanted to throw out there. And I also wanted to just quickly read a quote from the book that I mentioned to close out the episode. And I feel like it'll just summarize everything that we kind of touched on in the episode. So it goes, what you focus on, you create more of. So if the plan is to get rich, you're going to want to focus on abundance as much as possible. Give as much as you can, as often as you can. Receive with gratitude and joy. Think of money as your pal. Raise your frequency and get in the flow, yo. That is like the perfect summary, right? If you want to attract more money into your life, focus on abundance. Focus on the fact that money is an abundant resource. See money as your friend. Receive money with gratitude. Express thankfulness and gratitude for the money that you already have. Express gratitude and feel joy that you get to afford experiences, food, clothing that you want, your rent, flights. Just constantly focus on the gratitude that you feel for the experiences that you get access to because of this resource. Think of money as your friend and focus on really raising your frequency. And the best way to do that is by tapping into gratitude, is by tapping into joy, is by tapping into this energy of abundance, of knowing that you are worthy of money, that you are someone who deserves to be paid your worth. You're someone who knows that money is an abundant resource and therefore there is enough to go around. There is enough for you too. So hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys. I really, really do. Like the ones of you guys know who you are. The ones of you who take the time to DM me on Instagram, tell me how you like the episodes. It just makes me so happy, you guys. Like, it brings a smile to my face every single time. I know I shout you guys out on the Instagram stories of the Inner Growth account all the time. So please don't hesitate to let me know. If you watched this on YouTube, drop a comment. Let me know if it was helpful, if you liked it. And you can also subscribe on YouTube to be in the loop of future videos and future episodes. And also, if you're not already subscribed on Spotify and on Apple, that's like the best way to be in the loop of new episodes. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you loved it. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week and a great weekend. And I will see you guys next week, next Monday, for another guest episode. Love you all so much, and we'll chat so soon. Mwah. Bye.